Right, so it is very, very clear that Shedeur Sanders is winning this quarterback competition so far. Okay, Browns media, they don't really want to admit it, but the beautiful thing is we got guys like Tyvis, we got my man G. Bush, and they boots on the ground at camp, and we don't got to sit there and let Mary Kay Cabot and them lie to us and all of this stuff. We have real representation there that's giving the real and being honest about what the hell is going on, and it's very clear and apparent.
He was told he wasn't ready. He was told he'd sit. He was told the job already belonged to someone else. Then he stepped on the practice field, and everything changed. Because right now, in Berea, Ohio, something is happening that nobody in the Cleveland Browns organization wants to say out loud. A rookie quarterback, a kid who fell further in the draft than anyone expected, who absorbed jokes, memes, and doubt for months, is quietly outplaying the man who was supposed to be the unquestioned starter, and the cameras keep catching it. This is the story of Shedeur Sanders, not the highlight reel version, not the version his critics want you to believe, the real one, built one rep at a time, one interception at a time, one throw at a time, in front of a stadium full of fans who came just to watch him work. Subscribe now, because this story is only getting louder, and you don't want to miss where it goes next. Let's start with the pressure, because that's the part people forget. Shedeur didn't walk into a quiet room. He walked into one of the loudest, most scrutinized quarterback rooms in the entire NFL. A franchise that has burned through starting quarterbacks for over 2 decades. A fan base that has learned painfully not to get too hopeful. And sitting in that room already was Deshaun Watson, a former Pro Bowler, a name with history, a contract that made him the highest paid player at his position when he signed it. That's not a competition. That's a mountain. Add to that the draft process itself. Shedeur Sanders was projected by some analysts to go in the top 10. Instead, he watched pick after pick pass him by, round after round, in one of the most talked about slides in recent draft memory. Cameras stayed on his face the entire time. Every grimace, every forced smile, every quiet moment became content. People didn't just criticize his tape, they questioned his makeup, his attitude, his readiness for the league. That's the story that followed him to Cleveland. Think about what that actually does to a young athlete. Most rookies get drafted, take a photo in a jersey, and quietly disappear into the background for a year while they learn a new playbook. Shedeur never got that luxury. From the moment his name wasn't called in the first round, then the second, then the third, he became a national storyline all on his own. Talk shows debated him, radio hosts mocked him, highlight accounts clipped his reaction shots in the draft room and turned them into memes before he had thrown a single professional pass. By the time he actually stepped onto a Browns practice field, he wasn't just fighting for reps, he was fighting a narrative that had already been written about him before he'd earned the chance to challenge it. That's the backdrop nobody can ignore when you watch this camp battle unfold. So when he finally got to camp, the expectation from the outside wasn't can he compete, it was he'll be lucky to make the roster. But here's where it gets interesting. Because once the pads came on, once the real reps started, the tone on the ground began to shift. Not from the big national shows, not from the polished panel debates, from the people actually standing on the field, watching practice live, session after session. Die-hard content creators and local voices who post the raw, unfiltered version of what's happening before it gets repackaged for television.
Beyond the QB tracker, from the footage to the tracker to the voices we trust, being there, that watching everything, letting us know what's going on, that Shedeur Sanders is handling business and he should be ahead of Deshaun Watson in this competition. We got to get to what G. Bush had to say after with what he witnessed. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit the bell notification, hype the video. That'd be greatly appreciated. Let's get right into things. G. Bush, take it away.
And what they've been showing, throw after throw, is a young quarterback who looks calm in structure, who reads the defense fast, who throws with anticipation instead of hesitation. Multiple reps have gone viral showing him hitting receivers in stride against the starting defense, not scout team, not walkthrough speed, but the ones, defenders who are supposed to be all-pro caliber. And still, ball after ball is finding its target with a rhythm that doesn't look like a rookie who's overwhelmed. It looks like someone who's been preparing for this exact opportunity his entire life. That's the part that's hard to script. You can coach footwork, you can coach mechanics, but you can't coach that internal clock, knowing when to let it go before the receiver even turns his head. That's instinct. And instinct is exactly what's been missing from a Browns quarterback room that has felt more like a rotating door than a competition in years. Now, let's be fair, because a real story doesn't ignore the tough moments. Sanders has thrown interceptions in camp too. Nobody's pretending he's been perfect. There was a pick against the ones where a defensive back simply made a veteran-level play, undercutting a route with textbook timing. That happens. That's football. Rookies get picked off.
Every single one of them does, no matter how talented. But here's the separator that keeps showing up on tape. Even on the misses, the ball is close. Overthrows that sail just over an outstretched hand. Passes that get read perfectly, but get beaten by a defender jumping the route a half second early. There's a difference between a quarterback who's lost and a quarterback who's just missing by inches. And that difference is exactly what's fueling the growing belief that Shedeur isn't just competing, he might be closing the gap faster than anyone predicted. Meanwhile, Deshaun Watson has had his own rough throws captured on camp footage, passes that have been picked off, decisions that have drawn concern from fans reviewing the clips frame by frame. And when you put both quarterbacks' films side by side, that's where the debate ignites. Some fans, some analysts, some former players watching from the outside are starting to ask the uncomfortable question nobody wanted to ask in March. What if the guy who fell in the draft is actually the better quarterback right now? That question alone is enough to set an entire fan base on fire. And it's not staying quiet either. Timelines are splitting into two camps almost overnight. On one side, you've got longtime Brown supporters who point to Watson's resume and say patience is the only sane approach. You don't bench a former Pro Bowl quarterback off training camp clips, no matter how good they look on a phone screen. On the other side, you've got a growing wave of fans, many of them younger, many of them raised on exactly this kind of unfiltered practice footage, who say the tape doesn't lie, and if the rookie is outthrowing the veteran in the same reps against the same defense, why does it matter what happened 3 years ago? Neither side is fully right. Neither side is fully wrong. That's what makes this so watchable. It's not a clean story with an obvious hero and villain. It's two legitimate arguments crashing into each other in real time. Every single day camp is open. Because in Cleveland, quarterback drama isn't new. It's basically tradition. But this version hits different. This isn't two unproven guys fighting for a backup job. This is a former max contract starter against a rookie who was supposed to be a project. And the rookie is the one drawing the, "Wait, did you see that throw?" reactions from the crowd. Here's the emotional core of it though, because underneath all the QB tracker talk, the camp title talk, the media narratives, there's a young man who's been doubted publicly since before he even had the chance to prove anything. Shedeur Sanders grew up under a spotlight most rookies never experience. Being the son of a Hall of Fame cornerback and one of the most famous coaches in college football meant every mistake got amplified and every success got questioned as nepotism instead of talent. He spent years being told his confidence is arrogance, that his swagger is a problem, that he talks too much for a guy who hasn't earned it yet in the pros.
We finally got some real representation out there that can let us know what the hell is going on. And we ain't got to listen to all these people that be on 92.3 The Fan trying to lie to us and sell us bull crap all day. The anybody but Shedeur Mafia.
We gonna bring it back again. Let me show you this. That's another win in the end zone. That's another interception.
And now, for the first time, he's getting the chance to answer all of it. Not with words, but with reps, with throws, with decisions made in real time against professional defenders who don't care who your father is. That's why this camp battle means more than a depth chart. It's personal validation playing out in real time in front of thousands of fans who show up just to record it on their phones and post it before the team even releases a highlight package. And that's the wild part of this era of football. You don't have to wait for ESPN anymore to know what's happening. Practice reps leak out in minutes. A single throw against the starting defense can be clipped, slowed down, zoomed in, and dissected by tens of thousands of people before the sun even sets on that practice day. The old media gatekeepers don't control the narrative the way they used to. The fans watching from the fence line, filming with their phones, are shaping public opinion just as much as the professional broadcasters are. So when a large group of those fans, session after session, start saying the same thing, that Shedeur looks sharper, looks more decisive, looks like the guy who should be getting first-team reps, that's not just noise anymore. That's a pattern. Now, does that mean the job is his? Not even close. NFL depth charts are decided by far more than viral practice clips. Contracts matter. Political dynamics in a locker room matter. Coaches have their own private evaluations that the public never sees. Cut-ups, meeting room feedback, mental processing speed under simulated pressure. A single accurate throw down the sideline doesn't erase months of internal grading. But what it does do is create doubt. And in a competition, doubt is dangerous. Because once a fan base starts believing the backup might actually be better, that belief snowballs. It shows up in the crowd noise. It shows up in what gets cheered louder. It shows up in how quickly a bad series turns into chance for a change. Pressure isn't just about talent anymore. It's about psychology. And right now, that psychological weight is shifting on Deshaun Watson's shoulders, whether the coaching staff wants it to or not. Imagine being in his position for a second.
You signed one of the richest contracts a quarterback has ever gotten in this league. You've dealt with years of scrutiny, injuries, and a locker room that's been rebuilt around you more than once. And now, every single day, you walk into a building knowing that a rookie a few lockers down is the one trending on social media for looking sharper than you in practice. That's not just football pressure. That's a completely different kind of weight. The kind that doesn't show up on a stat sheet, but absolutely shows up in body language, in how a team responds in the huddle, in whether teammates start quietly wondering the same thing the fans are saying out loud. That's the invisible battle running underneath the obvious one. It's not just about who throws a cleaner ball on Tuesday. It's about who the locker room starts believing in. Because make no mistake, Watson is still the presumed starter walking into the season. His resume, his contract, his experience, all of that still counts. But resumes don't throw touchdowns. Reps do. And every single day this camp battle stays competitive. Every single day Shedeur Sanders puts together a throw that gets slowed down and replayed 100 times online, the pressure compounds. Not just externally, internally, in that quarterback room, where everyone knows exactly what's being said outside the building.
That's not good if I'm picking random clips and these is picks. These are still picks. I'm confused by this. What is this? Look at this play. Dime. This yesterday. This the best throw yesterday. Let me show you again. This is the best throw yesterday. If you tell it again.
And that pressure doesn't disappear when the practice session ends. It follows both quarterbacks into meeting rooms, into film sessions, and into every conversation reporters try to have with the coaching staff about who's actually leading this competition. Coaches will say the right things publicly. They'll talk about competition being good for everybody, about wanting both guys to push each other, about not rushing a decision. But privately, inside that building, everyone knows exactly what the outside world is saying. And in a league built on results, that kind of noise doesn't just fade into the background. It becomes part of the environment both players have to perform inside of, whether it's fair or not. That's the tension driving this entire story. It's not really about one interception or one perfect deep ball. It's about momentum. And right now, based on what's coming out of camp, based on what fans on the ground keep capturing, the momentum feels like it's shifting toward the guy nobody expected to be in this position by August. Let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't the first time football has seen a story like this. History is full of rookie quarterbacks who were told to sit and wait, only for camp battles and preseason snaps to force the decision earlier than the front office planned. Sometimes it works out. The rookie takes over, the fan base gets what it wanted, and the story becomes a franchise turning point. Other times, the excitement fades once real bullets start flying in the regular season, and the rookie needs more time than anyone expected. Nobody can promise which version of that story Shedeur becomes, but the fact that his name is even being mentioned in that conversation this early says everything about how far the perception has shifted since April. And perception matters more than people admit in professional sports. Coaches say they only trust the film, and to an extent that's true. But coaches are human too. They hear the noise, they see the clips, they notice when their own locker room starts buzzing about a certain practice rep before the coaching staff has even finished grading it. That doesn't mean decisions get made emotionally. It means the margin for staying patient gets thinner every single day the rookie keeps making winning plays where the fan base can see them. Let's talk about the turning point, because every real story has one. For Shedeur, it wasn't one single play. It was a stretch, throw after throw against the ones, day after day, where he simply looked comfortable. Comfortable isn't a flashy word. It doesn't trend the same way a highlight reel touchdown does. But comfort under pressure, especially for a rookie facing a veteran-heavy defense, is one of the hardest things to fake. You can't coach a man into looking calm when reality is coming at him full speed. Either he has it or he doesn't. And right now, the tape suggests he has it. That shift changed the conversation. It went from, can Shedeur even compete, to, wait, is Shedeur actually outplaying the starter? That's a massive leap in perception, and it happened in a matter of days, not months. And here's something people forget when they talk about his personality. The same confidence that got mocked all through draft season, the same swagger that got called arrogance by people who'd never met him, is exactly the trait that lets a young quarterback walk into a hostile quarterback room and not flinch. You don't survive a draft slide like that in front of the entire country without either breaking or hardening. By every account from people around the building, Shedeur hardened.
He didn't come to camp looking for sympathy. He came in acting like a starter, preparing like a starter, and demanding the same respect a starter gets. And slowly, rep by rep, the tape has started to back that attitude up instead of contradicting it. That's the part of this story people are sleeping on. It wasn't really about arm talent. Plenty of quarterbacks have a strong arm and still fail in year one. It's about mindset. It's about whether a young player can absorb that kind of public criticism and still walk out onto a practice field every single day believing he belongs there. So far, everything coming out of Berea suggests he does. So where does this go from here? If the trend continues, if Shedeur keeps stacking clean reps, keeps limiting the big mistakes, keeps making veteran defenders look like they got beat by anticipation and accuracy, then this stops being a training camp storyline and becomes a real decision the coaching staff has to make. Public pressure doesn't decide rosters, but it does create urgency, and urgency changes timelines.
What are we doing here? I got to show this too, because I'm going to be fair about it. 2,400 people in here. I got to be fair about it. Shedeur Sanders did throw an interception today. It was a great play by the defensive back as well. Watch this. Even, remember what I said. Even when I said this. Watch this.
If Watson struggles in preseason reps the way some of his camp throws have suggested he might, the questions only get louder. Not just from fans, from analysts, from former players, from people inside the building who see exactly what the cameras see, minus the slow-motion replay. And if Shedeur eventually gets his shot, even a series, even a quarter, even one preseason start, everything he's absorbed, every ounce of doubt he's carried since draft night, gets put on display in real time under real lights in front of a real audience. Think about the symbolism of that moment if it happens. A kid who fell out of the first round, who watched his name get skipped over and over on national television, walking out under the lights in an NFL uniform, in the same building, in the same city, with the whole country watching, to see if the tape from camp translates into something real. Win or lose in that first outing, the story writes itself, because either outcome adds another layer to what's already one of the most compelling underdog arcs in recent memory. And that's really the heart of why this resonates with so many people beyond just Browns fans. Almost everyone has been counted out at some point, passed over for a job, doubted by people who didn't take the time to actually look closely. Shedeur's situation is football, but the emotion underneath it is universal. The experience of being told you're not good enough, then quietly putting in the work anyway and letting the results speak instead of your mouth. That's the story worth watching, not because it's guaranteed to end in a storybook way. Sports rarely do, but because right now, in real time, we're watching a young quarterback answer years of criticism with actual work. Not interviews, not social media clapbacks, just reps, just throws, just quiet, consistent proof stacking up practice by practice. Whatever happens next, whether Shedeur Sanders wins this job outright, splits reps, or has to wait a little longer for his true opportunity, one thing is already clear. He walked into one of the most pressure-heavy quarterback rooms in football, carrying the weight of a draft slide the whole country watched happen live, and instead of shrinking from it, he's made people start asking a question they never expected to ask this early. What if the kid everyone doubted is exactly what this franchise has been missing? That question alone is why eyes stay locked on Cleveland right now, because whatever the answer turns out to be, this chapter of Shedeur Sanders' story isn't a footnote. It's the beginning of something a lot of people are going to remember, one way or another. Years from now, when people look back at this training camp, they won't remember every stat line or every practice report. They'll remember the feeling of watching a kid who got humiliated on national television during the draft walk into the most pressure-filled quarterback room in the league and refuse to back down. They'll remember the grainy phone footage of a rookie threading a pass between two starting caliber defenders, and the way that clip spread faster than anything the team's own media department could have produced. Because at the end of the day, that's what makes sports worth watching in the first place. Not the polished press conferences, not the predictable headlines. It's moments like this, raw, unscripted, uncertain, where nobody, not the analysts, not the coaches, not even the players themselves, knows exactly how the story ends. Right now, all anyone can do is keep watching, keep tracking every rep, keep waiting to see whether the kid who fell in the draft becomes the quarterback who saves a franchise, or just another cautionary tale about hype outrunning reality. Either way, one thing is certain. Shedeur Sanders is no longer the punchline he was on draft night. He's the center of the conversation. And in the NFL, once you become the center of the conversation, everything else, the depth chart, the doubters, the pressure, has a strange way of following your lead instead of the other way around.